In 2011, Scottish comedians Robert Florence and Iain Connell wrote and performed a hilarious sketch that would go viral around the world for over a decade. It was called The Voice-Activated Lift. It follows a pair of Scottish men who, when entering a lift, realise there are no buttons, and instead they must use voice commands to get the lift to move. As you can imagine, when they tell the lift the number of the floor they want to go to, it doesn't understand their Scottish accents. And, unable to move, the two friends grow more and more frustrated. In today's video, we're going to talk in detail about the language used in the video. So if you want to learn more about what the pair are saying and reasons why some might find it difficult to understand, keep watching. Hi, I'm Gemma from the Scottish Sound School. I'm an English language teacher and pronunciation specialist. I work with teachers and new international arrivals in Scotland, helping them to make sense of the unfamiliar sounds and speech they are hearing. Before we dive into the language used in the video, if you haven't seen it already, why not click on the link below to watch it through from the beginning to end, and then come back for the explanation. The main reason that AI struggles to understand certain people is because it hasn't been exposed to or trained with diverse accents, speech, and speakers. This happens to human listeners too. If we have little to no exposure to or experience with a new, unfamiliar accent, it will probably be more difficult to understand at first. But over time, the more we listen to it and interact with it, the easier it can become. See my video, The Secret Formula for Understanding Scottish People, if you'd like more on this. In today's video, we're going to look at 3 additional reasons why the comedian's language might be a little bit difficult to understand at times for unfamiliar listeners. Reason 1. Pronunciation. As soon as the men enter the lift, they experience a problem. It doesn't recognise their pronunciation of the number 11, and so it doesn't move.
11. 11. 11.
Could you please repeat that?
But is their pronunciation of this number really that different to other speakers? Let's listen and compare the Scottish pronunciation with Standard British English and General American English.
11. 11. 11.
11. 11. 11.
11. 11. 11.
11.
11.
11.
So, despite the voice-activated lift struggling to understand 11, the differences between the comedian's Scottish pronunciation and the Standard British or General American pronunciation aren't enormous and lie in the word's vowel sounds. In the unstressed syllable at the beginning of the word, the Scottish speakers use a schwa or sound, 11. In the second syllable, which is stressed, we hear a vowel which is higher and closer to which is repeated again in the final syllable. While I've transcribed this sound using the symbol for if we wanted to be more accurate, we'd use a slightly different symbol. Expert phoneticians, such as the late Professor David Abercrombie from the University of Edinburgh and Professor Jane Stewart-Smith from the University of Glasgow, suggest that this sound is not quite or but an extra sound somewhere in between the two. This sound, Stewart-Smith observes, is used by some, though not all, Scottish speakers in a small number of words. Let's listen to some examples now.
A steam engine. Engine. A steam engine.
We devils. We devils. We devils.
I dream dream about the perfect way to make this devil die. Devil die. Devil die.
So every single penny of, so every single penny of, so every single penny of.
Now let's consider some other pronunciations in the sketch that might be difficult for some.
Voice recognition technology. In a lift. In a lift. Voice recognition technology. In a lift.
In this phrase, we hear lift being pronounced more like luft. The vowel in Scotland can change according to the age, gender and social class of the speaker. The pronunciation in the video, luft, with the vowel being produced further back in the mouth, is more common among men of a working class background and less common among younger speakers, women, and those of a middle class background.
Ooh, is that talk now, is it? Is that talk now, is it? Is that talk now, is it?
Here, the speaker is using the Scots word nu, meaning now. While in Scots this word is pronounced using a single vowel sound, oo. In Scottish Standard English, this is a diphthong, ow. For more on this, check my previous video on understanding the mouth vowel in Scottish speech, linked here. In other varieties of English, such as Standard British English or General American English, this vowel is pronounced more like ow.
Mouth. Mouth.
Mouth. Mouth.
You're just saying it the same way. You're just saying it the same way. You're just saying it the same way.
In Scottish Standard English, the word way ends in a monophthong, a. In Scots, when this sound appears at the end of a word, it often changes to I. So way becomes why. Way, why.
I want to keep saying it until I understand Scottish, alright? I want to keep saying it until I understand Scottish, alright? I want to keep saying it until I understand Scottish, alright?
In this example, we see the pronunciation of understand change to understand. In Scots, the a vowel is often pronounced further back in the mouth before r and n. It can move from a at the front of the mouth to a, or as we see in the video, for West Coast Scots speakers, it can move even further back to aw.
Calm. Where's that coming from? Why is it telling people to be calm? Calm. Where's that coming from? Why is it telling people to be calm?
For most Scottish speakers, the word calm is pronounced with the a vowel, as we can hear in this clip. This is quite different to other pronunciations of calm. In Standard British English and General American English, the vowels are produced further back in the mouth. Let's listen to the difference.
Calm.
Calm.
Just like Standard British English and General American English speakers, Scottish speakers can and do connect certain words together when they speak. Typically, we see this when the final sound in a word is a consonant and the first sound in the next word is a vowel. This type of linking is called catenation. These connections can sometimes lead to 2, 3, 4, and even more words joining together. As you can imagine, for an unfamiliar listener, this can sometimes sound like one long, undistinguishable word, rather than several individual words. Let's listen to some of the examples of this in the video.
Voice recognition technology. In a lift. Voice recognition technology. In a lift. Voice recognition technology. In a lift.
Ooh, is that talk now, is it? Away back to your own country? Ooh, That talk now, is it? Away back to your own country. Ooh, is that talk now, is it? Away back to your own country. Because they knew they'd be selling this to Scottish people who'd be going off for nuts at it. Because they knew they'd be selling this to Scottish people who'd be going off for nuts at it. Because they knew they'd be selling this to Scottish people who'd be going off for nuts at it.
Reason 2. The Scots linguistic continuum. The next thing we need to address is the language being used in the video. If you've watched my previous video on the Scots linguistic continuum, linked here, you'll know that Scottish speakers speak on a continuum. On one side of that continuum is Scottish Standard English, which I'm speaking right now. This is very similar to written Standard English, but is pronounced with a Scottish accent. At the other side of the continuum is the Scots language. Scots is an 800-year-old Germanic language which is closely related to English, with both having Old English as an ancestor. For more information on Scots, see my video on the languages of Scotland, linked here. Most Scottish speakers communicate somewhere in the middle of this continuum, mixing Scots words into Scottish Standard English. But they can easily move here, to the Scottish Standard English side of the continuum, when they want to be clearly understood or are in a more formal situation. Or move here, to the Scots side, when with friends, family, or other locations where Scots is being used. Listen to this example from Professor Jennifer Smith from the University of Glasgow as she demonstrates moving across the continuum. You'll hear her change from Scottish Standard English, which she uses at work, to North East Scots when she visits her parents.
So when I'm talking to you now, I'm more, because I've got a big mic stuck in my mouth, I'm talking more in the formal side of the continuum. I'm putting my telephone voice on. But when I go back to my hometown in North East Scotland, I start speaking like I asked my mum and dad, and fit ye dee in the day, and I ken far I'm gone, fits that quine deein, etc.
Returning to the sketch, you may have noticed that the men start off speaking more on the Scottish Standard English side of the continuum. But as they get more and more frustrated, they move closer to the Scots end. If you're unfamiliar with Scots, you will probably notice that the point in the video where they lose patience with the lift is the point it becomes increasingly difficult to understand them. This brings us to our last reason, vocabulary. The two men use a mixture of Scottish Standard English and Scots. Let's look at some examples of the Scots words they used.
11.
We for the same part of England as Dick Van Dyke. We for the same part of England as Dick Van Dyke.
Please speak slowly and clearly.
Smart ass. Smart ass.
If you don't understand the lingo, away back came to your own country. Lingo. Came away back came to your own country. How can you be racist to a lift? How can you be racist to a lift?
Because they knew they'd be selling this to Scottish people who'd be going off for nuts at it. Because they knew they'd be selling this to Scottish people who'd be going off for nuts at it. Aye, we have! Aye, we have!
We've now come to the end of this video. While it may have demonstrated a lot of new and unfamiliar words and sounds, I hope it's also shown you that despite this, you probably still understood quite a lot of what was going on, from the actor's body language, facial expressions and tone of voice, all of which play an important role in human communication. If you'd like to revisit the content of this video, why not go over to the Scottish Sound School website and check out the corresponding blog. If you found this video useful or interesting, please like and subscribe to receive notifications when new content is released.